Hello there guys, it's Captain Invisible here and I'm going to show you my army setup for the multiplayer battle I'm about to show you the replay of. I was going to do this one live, but unfortunately I forgot to record my army selection live. So instead what I've done is I've gone back into custom battle and I'm now going to show you in the custom battle the army that I brought for the battle. So I'm cheating a little bit, but hopefully it'll merge together okay and it won't look too weird for you. So the first thing I'm going to bring is a General's Bodyguard, the later version with the lance. He doesn't actually have more charge bonus that I thought he did, but he's got more defense and slightly more attack. So he's probably going to be, his survivability is probably going to be higher. I also want a very heavy cavalry contingent, so I'm probably going to go with the Kazaki, the Royal Mamluks, and now it's 5-2 cavalry, but I don't want too much heavy focus on missile cav. Ooh, they're quite strong. They're quite good in melee. The Sibian Alcas. Yeah, we'll go for some of those as well. Then I obviously want some archers. I would normally go for desert archers because they have swords with them. So when they go into melee, they're quite good in melee. But after seeing the Siege of Acre battle we did, which was Elite's historical battle representing the Siege of Acre, the Abid al-Shira actually did quite well in that battle. So I'll bring a couple of those guys, and I might put some upgrades on them actually, because archers with defense upgrades will obviously help them block arrows better. At least that's the logic running through my head anyway. You guys may have a different opinion on that. And since they fixed two-handers, the Tabaderia are actually quite a good unit to probably bring to this battle. So I shall bring 4 of them just as a front line. It'll cost me more to get any more anyway, so I think 4's good enough. There are other infantry units I want to bring, like the Al-Hacker infantry. They're a nice little sword unit given to Egypt. It's always nice to have a nice little unit like that in the army. Sword and shield units are always quite reliable units. So I'll bring a couple of those. A really nice addition to Egypt, as are the dismounted Ghulams. Again, just to help bolster my infantry corps. So I've got a huge infantry contingent, a lot more than I would dare do with Egypt on vanilla Medieval 2 Total War. So that's going to be interesting. We'll see how well that goes. And let's put some upgrades on and see what we've got left. Let's see. Probably want to upgrade my infantry. Ooh, what I was gonna say is, with upgrades, you really want to, on Kingdoms, it's a lot more important putting the morale chevron upgrades on your units, because morale in this game is so poor. So I'm just gonna shove some morale upgrades on. Then I'll see what I've got for defensive upgrades. Let's do bronze on all my Al-Hacker infantry. I can't do anything with the dismounted Ghulams, they just won't, because they're mercenaries. I can't. Oh, well, I can give them an attack, but I want to keep them fairly cheap, so I'll leave them off for attack. Pop some Tabaderia upgrades. I've got enough for another unit. Let's have some spearmen to defend my archers. Maybe some Saracen militia. Let's fully upgrade those guys. Excellent. Yeah, they'll hold quite well. I think they did improve spearmen quite a lot in this game as well, so they're a bit stronger than they used to be. And it looks like I'm spent up for my money, but I mean it's a fairly decent army actually. We'll see how well it goes anyway. Yeah, so 15k battle, max 5 cav, which I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And obviously no artillery elephants or guns. Yeah, just no artillery elephants or guns in this battle. So yeah, we'll see how this goes, and I shall see you on the battlefield. Hello again, guys. Right, so we're on the battlefield now. It's a fairly flat one, with some pyramids in the background. Look a bit strange, look like something the aliens have sort of dropped on the planet, and they've sort of minimised different sizes of them. It's quite amusing. They're not really as rugged as I remember them. But anyway, get back to my army. As I say, it's a fairly flat map, so this should favour my army quite well. It's in the desert, so my army will do well in it anyway. So I've got my archers up front. They're going to do some skirmishing. I say the Saracen spearmen are going to defend my archers. I'll just speed that up whilst we're waiting. And then I'm going to shove my tabarderia in front as the first shock line, and then the rest of my infantry is just going to be behind in a reserve line with my cavalry in support. So we're just going to move up and we'll take a look at my opponent's army. My opponent for this battle was Pike and Shot of the Papal clan. It's a fairly new clan he's created, so if you're interested in joining, just visit his Steam page, and I'm sure he'll happily accept any requests to join. So it looks like he's brought a lot of crossbowmen and he's guarding them with spearmen. He's got a lot of these Edessa squires. Not too sure about them. I mean, I know they've got maces, but I mean they make a fairly good cheap infantry, just like my dismounted Gulams. He's got some of the Knights Hospitaller, some Knights of Edessa. He's got some more crossbowmen here that are taking shots against my my horse archers, the Siban Alcasa. I will try to pronounce their names. I'm usually quite good, so we'll see how well it goes. And then he's got a main line of these dismounted Knights of Antioch. And he's got some Edessa Guard at this side, and some Edessa Guard at this side. I'm actually surprised he's not brought the cannons of the Holy Sepulchre. I swear he had some. But yeah, I'm just going to harass these missiles with my missile cav. They have taken some serious damage, but he's so busy focusing on these guys, on my horse archers, that he's failed to really put paid to my archers, and they're just basically firing volleys after volleys into his crossbowmen. So they are really putting paid to him not taking advantage of his missile. Well, he doesn't really have a missile superiority either. I swear he had more missiles than me. In fact, he does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, he does have more missiles than me, but his problem was he kept moving them around and messing with them, and stretching them out and putting infantry behind them and trying to guard them from my horse archers. That my archers, being stood still, were just able to just keep firing at them, and they've got a faster fire rate anyway, so they were always going to put pay to these poor crossbowmen. Crossbowmen in this game are not as good as the Parvis crossbowmen from vanilla Medieval 2 Total War, so he's really not going to gain an advantage in this missile fight now that I've destroyed a lot of his crossbowmen. So he's going to have to do something about my archers. The problem is, as I say, he's just so focused on my horse archers that he's not really focusing his missiles against any of the targets. And these unarmoured crossbowmen are just taking archer fire. This is what Egypt do best, missile skirmishes. Certainly it's what I would expect them to be good at. And the armour upgrades on these archers are definitely look cool, I have to say. So they certainly look like they could take a beating and still pull out of a fight. So yeah, he's trying to stretch his lines out more, but as I say, moving your missiles whilst they're in a missile engagement is really not a good idea. What I like to do is, if the enemy's not going to move his missile line, I like forcing him to move his missile line with strikes like this, like with cavalry, just to drive his missiles back. And what most players will do is they'll take the missiles and they'll run back behind the lines, turning their back on your cavalry, and you can then pull your cavalry back, and the enemy breaks his formation and pushes his archers back to get into range, and your guys have just been firing at them the entire time. So it's always good to use cavalry just to harass the enemy. Here he tries to pull out with some spearmen, but he turns them around and I get a nice cheeky charge on them. Serves them right for not being braced. It's always good to try get strikes like that against your enemy if he's getting impatient and pulling units out of his defensive lines. And as you can see, whilst I've been firing at his crossbowmen, I've taken out a few of his spearmen as well. He had them too close to his crossbowmen, and they've been taking damage. My lines aren't too bad, but I've lost a few here and there, and just in scatters of various units. Okay, so seeing that I've won the missile engagement, I decided to do something a little bit, some would say reckless, but I say brave, and I bring my infantry forward. What most players will do is they'll expect to win the missile fight and then get the enemy to move towards them. So to surprise your opponent by throwing units at him, it really does catch them off guard with charges like this, and same on this side, just really catching your opponent whilst he's not prepared. And as he's trying to whilst he's trying to form his infantry up, he's going to get a Tabadari charge to his front, whilst his Edessa guard were not prepared, were not counter-charging. So I managed to get my charge off. And as you can see, I'm catching some of his units out of position. And they don't have chevrons on either, so they're oh no, wait, it does have chevrons on this one, never mind. So yeah, he's obviously got the standard and chevrons on his unit, so their morale's going to be set. It's a good idea from pike and shot, definitely a useful strategy. But as you can see, my infantry superiority is starting to show, and I've managed to flank with some infantry. I can send some infantry in to support my cavalry fights on the flanks. Unfortunately, it looks like he's gaining an advantage in this cavalry fight. My cavalry just wasn't strong enough to beat these Knights of Edessa. I think he just had way too much cav on this flank, and he had his mash of the hospitals over at this flank as well. So they are a really powerful cavalry. So they've done a good job in this fight. But I've got my spearmen here just screening my flank. Hopefully I can win the infantry engagement at the front before we can pull his cavalry through to assist. It does look like my infantry's broken through on this side, so we're just waiting now for them to be able to flank around and crash into these these last remaining knights and their squires. So the infantry line is finally starting to collapse, and I'm just holding up the rest of his infantry on this flank.
Only half our force remains.
And then I'm going to collapse onto these guys as well. But Pike and Shot has won the cavalry fight, so he's able to bring his cavalry to bear against my infantry. So he's going to run hammer and anvils and just really put paid to my infantry who don't have their flanks protected. My general is the only cavalry unit I've got left, so he's going to fight very bravely to try hold off these cavalry strikes against my infantry. My opponent here sends his cavalry off to try and engage my archers. By this point my archers have done what they need to, so they're then of no use to me. So this was a distraction he couldn't afford to do, as his infantry is dying to my own. His cavalry would have been of more use on this side. I've got my spearmen protecting my infantry in the rear, and he's going to go for a charge against them whilst they're braced. Normally this wouldn't be such a bad idea, especially in the base game, but spearmen got a really big buff in this game, and cavalry got weakened slightly, so he's not going to come off with that charge very well. And these are marshals of the Hospitallers as well, so these are really powerful cavalry that he's wasted against my spearmen. So he's going to try run charges against my infantry, and for the most part he's going to be successful, but I just have so much infantry left that every time he charges in and gets bogged down, he's just going to suffer casualties that he just cannot afford to suffer. Every charge he does is a charge he's going to lose men, and I simply just have more men to use against his. Plus my general, where's he gone? My general's been fighting for his life, a very brave man with his four bodyguards, his four loyal bodyguards. So yeah, right now this battle is pretty much over. He's only got a handful of cavalry and some crossbowmen. He's going to try to charge where he can, and he's got this standard as well that held on for significantly longer than I thought it would against some heavy infantry. It's a very strong standard, and his general's interested in a general's bodyguard right here. He's going to try help his standard achieve victory there. But yeah, right now my spearmen are doing their job, just helping to stop his cavalry from getting any purchase on my infantry. As I say, he's killing my infantry, but I just have so much infantry, it's not going to do him any good. And his morale at this point, his men are going to be tired, they're going to be winded, and as soon as his general dies, it's going to cause a massive rout of all these forces. So I want to put pay to this standard. It's also going to be giving him a morale boost, which I do not want him to have. So I'll try to get rid of that as much as possible.
Rejoice! The infidel general lies dead, and now his men fear us.
So there goes Pike and Shot's general. So he's only down to this unit of marshals of the Hospitallers, and their morale's already shaken. So they're going to rout as soon as they suffer enough damage. All they'll need to do is charge into my infantry, and that should be enough damage to rout them. He's trying to get hold of my general. My general was sort of circling around my infantry, circling within the area of influence of my infantry, so they were well defended. Here I think Pike and Shot gets a bit reckless and infuriated and decides he's just going to charge in. and hope for the best. But this is where his Knights of the Hospitallers are going to get
Victory is
surrounded
ours,
and
but
rout off
only
the
by a
field.
sword's edge.
So that was the battle. A very surprising rush, even though I won the missile fight. But that's what catches people off guard. The fact that you can win the missile fight and then still rush is a viable tactic for catching your opponent out of formation and unprepared, and that's exactly what I did to Pike and Shot. He did prepare quite quickly to receive my infantry, but by receiving my infantry, his own two-hander units were not charging and not getting that huge charge bonus off. Also, he focused too much on a pointless cavalry engagement on the flanks. Yes, he won the cavalry engagement, but from my point of view, it was pointless because his infantry was always going to lose to mine. So he should have done more to protect his own infantry with his cavalry and just held my cavalry off. Or he could have used some of his spearmen that he brought to assist with the cav fight, and then he would have had more cavalry to spare. So here are the results. It was quite a close battle, as you can see from it being a close victory, but there were some mistakes made, and it's how I managed to achieve victory in this battle. So I hope you enjoyed this battle. It was a very nice battle from my perspective, and it really did help me showcase what Egypt is capable of. They are a really nice faction. I do love them in Kingdoms, and I hope to use them more in the future online. And also, if you guys haven't tried Kingdoms as Egypt, I highly recommend you do, because there are a lot of new units to them that weren't in the base game, and they'll surprise you. Those Tabaderia are really powerful infantry now that they've fixed the two-hander bug, so they are really worth bringing nowadays. So that's it for this battle, guys. I hope to see you on the battlefield very soon, and if you haven't done so already, please rate, comment and subscribe.